Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Bold and beautiful shocker. What if that's not Taylor stalking Ridge and Brooke, but oh god. Spoiler. When the bold and the beautiful revealed that a mystery woman was spying on Ridge and Brooke in Monte Carlo, we jumped to the conclusion that it was Taylor, whose presence on the show has been much missed since Krista Allen was told that the character wasn't needed. But there is someone else who might have a keen interest in stalking Ridge, a card-carrying schemer with a history of disregarding boundaries. An individual, Morgan DeWitt. Longtime viewers will recall that years after her affair with Ridge, Morgan re-entered his life determined to conceive a baby to replace the one that his mother Stephanie had forced her to abort. To achieve her goal, Morgan would stop at nothing, whether that meant faking an email from Ridge's then-wife Taylor that gave him the all-clear to sleep with her or letting a python put the squeeze on Clark Garrison. Before Morgan's reign of terror was through, she'd kidnapped Lil Steffi and let her parents believe that she'd been eaten by a shark, and tried to drown Stephanie in a bathtub. And that was just Morgan's first go-round. When she reappeared a few years later, she'd undergone enough therapy not to be bat-guano crazy, but not so much therapy that she didn't steal away a concussed Ridge to Italy in hopes of getting him to impregnate her while he was suffering from amnesia. You can see below how uncomfortable that was for her mother. Considering that Morgan was in Europe when last seen, it wouldn't take much of a journey for her to swing by Monte Carlo to see if Ridge might get another bump on the head. In fact, since when last seen she was as anxious as ever to have his baby, we wouldn't put it past her to give him a bump on the head in hopes of erasing his memories of Brooke again. The air in Los Angeles crackled with tension, a tension only matched by the smoggy haze that veiled the city's skyline. Inside the opulent Forrester mansion, the grandeur of the setting seemed at odds with the nervous energy that had gripped its inhabitants. Ridge Forrester, ever the paragon of suave sophistication, found his nerves fraying at the edges. The reason? A series of unsettling incidents that had placed both him and his ex-wife, Brooke Logan, on edge. They had assumed Taylor Hayes was behind the eerie occurrences, but the truth, as it turned out, was far more disturbing. Brooke had first noticed the subtle intrusions into her life, innocuous enough at first, a misplaced item here, an odd phone call there, but they had gradually escalated into something far more sinister. Ridge, ever the protective figure, had dismissed her fears initially, but as the incidents became more frequent and brazen, he too began to worry. They had both naturally assumed Taylor was the culprit. After all, Taylor had a history of instability, particularly when it came to matters of the heart involving Ridge. However, as the days turned into weeks, a gnawing doubt began to creep into Ridge's mind. Taylor had been under close watch, and the timeline of the stalker's activities didn't quite match up with her whereabouts. It wasn't until that fateful evening, when Ridge received an anonymous package at the Forrester mansion, that the pieces began to fall into place. The package contained a single photograph, old and yellowed with age. In it, a young girl stood in the shadows, her face obscured but her eyes, those hauntingly familiar eyes, stared directly at the camera. Ridge's heart pounded as he recognized the eyes that had been haunting him. They weren't Taylor's. They belonged to someone else, someone he had long forgotten, but who had clearly not forgotten him. Meanwhile, across town at Spencer Publications, Bill Spencer had been conducting his own investigation. His daughter, Katie, had been friends with Brooke for years, and he couldn't stand idly by while she was terrorized. Using his considerable resources, Bill had managed to trace the origin of the mysterious phone calls Brooke had been receiving. What he found was chilling. The calls had been coming from a mental health facility on the outskirts of town, and the name registered to the calls was Sheila Carter. Sheila Carter, the name alone was enough to send shivers down the spine of anyone familiar with her sordid history. Sheila was a master manipulator, a woman whose obsession with the Forrester family had led to countless schemes and crimes. The thought of her being involved in the current situation was almost too much to bear. Bill wasted no time in sharing his findings with Ridge and Brooke. The revelation hit them like a freight train. Sheila, the embodiment of madness and malevolence, was the true architect of their torment. Her vendetta against the Forrester family was the stuff of legends, and now it seemed she had returned to settle old scores. But how had she managed to orchestrate such a campaign of terror from within a mental health facility? The answer, as it turned out, lay in her uncanny ability to manipulate those around her. Sheila had found a willing accomplice in the form of a young nurse at the facility, a woman named Samantha. Desperate for money and seduced by Sheila's charismatic influence, Samantha had become Sheila's eyes and ears on the outside. She had executed Sheila's every instruction to the letter, ensuring that Ridge and Brooke remained in a constant state of fear and confusion. With this new information, Ridge and Brooke knew they had to act fast. Enlisting the help of the authorities, they orchestrated a plan to confront Sheila and put an end to her reign of terror once and for all. The showdown took place at the mental health facility, where Sheila, sensing that her time was up, revealed the depth of her hatred for the Forrester family. Her eyes, those same eyes from the photograph, blazed with a manic intensity as she ranted about the injustices she believed she had suffered at their hands. In the end, it was Ridge's calm determination and Brooke's unwavering strength that saw them through. Sheila was subdued and transferred to a maximum security facility, her threat neutralized but her legacy of chaos forever etched into the Forrester family history. As the dust settled and life began to return to a semblance of normalcy, Ridge and Brooke found solace in each other's company. The ordeal had brought them closer, reminding them of the unbreakable bond they shared. They knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but they also knew that together, they could face any challenge that came their way. And so, as the sun set over the Los Angeles skyline, casting long shadows over the Forrester mansion, a sense of peace finally settled over Ridge and Brooke. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger for it. In the glitzy, drama-infused world of the bold and the beautiful, the twists and turns are as unpredictable as ever. Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan, the iconic couple whose love story has spanned decades, find themselves at the center of yet another shocking revelation. For weeks, Ridge and Brooke have felt the eerie sensation of being watched. Shadows flit past windows, anonymous notes appear in unexpected places, and the feeling of unease grows with each passing day. Initially, all signs seemed to point to Taylor Hayes, Ridge's ex-wife and Brooke's longtime rival. However, as the layers of this mystery begin to unravel, a more terrifying truth comes to light. What if it's not Taylor stalking Ridge and Brooke but someone far more dangerous? It all began on a crisp autumn evening. Ridge and Brooke had just returned home from a charity event, their laughter echoing through the grand halls of the Forrester mansion. As they settled into their living room, the crackling fireplace casting warm shadows, Brooke noticed a figure lurking outside. She dismissed it as a trick of the light, but the unsettling feeling lingered. Over the next few days, strange occurrences became more frequent. Brooke found her belongings moved, photos of her and Ridge were slashed, and cryptic messages were scrawled on mirrors. Each incident heightened her paranoia, and she confided in Ridge. Ridge, ever the protective husband, initially suspected Taylor. After all, Taylor had a history of erratic behavior, and her past obsession with Ridge was well documented.